Welcome back to 23 Degrees Sideways. This is our 5-hour live stream in little 10 and 12-minute chunks, continuing here. And we're talking about order and people seeking order and the conservative aspects of that, why it goes conservative. And a lot of that has to do with value of human life. Once again, the progressive talks about the value of wants, the value of momentary wants, the value, they'll phrase it as needs, Everyone needs a cell phone. The government needs to provide the disadvantaged populations with a cell phone. Everyone needs a cell phone, or it's not fair. That's not a need, okay? I'm not totally denigrating the idea that everyone should have access to the things that make society. But there are differences between people, populations, purposes, goals, subcultures, and you can't make them all the same and all homogenous without destroying what it is to be human. Even an ant hill has different classes and behaviors, and you can't make every ant identical. Even if you put up some sort of weird hormone thing where you can change them from drones to workers on a whim, and with no side effects, which is not how it works with humans. And I think that's one of the things that we're dealing with here, is the progressives are focused on the wants, okay? A baby is a matter of convenience or inconvenience, not a matter of the core human values and moral structure of society. And that's really the big thing in the abortion debate, okay? It's not about whether or not implantation is the big deal, or 12 weeks or 8 weeks, or we can probably come to some kind of compromise on when. It's the idea that life exists and has value versus convenience and wants, and freedom without responsibility. And that's where you get a lot of people going hard conservative right now, is that they believe that there is a responsibility. There needs to be a responsibility. There needs to be some moral thing. There needs to be a set of humane, humanocentric, I do this a lot. It's got to be annoying to you by now, but human moral factors. Not just I want. And this is where people, Matt Christensen, Blonde, this is where the conservative sphere, Owen Benjamin again, talk about degeneracy and hedonism as bad. And there's a point to that, okay? There's also a point to hedonism, but there's a point to a structured hedonism, which is just a vastly different ritualized thing that is probably a different topic, different video, different day. I'm not going to get into that, into where probably I feel that Christianity has one of its biggest failings is in the that lack of a structured, ritualized hedonism, because people do need that. Now, it's funny because a lot of Catholic cultures are really good at that. Actually, the tradition of the Irish wake as a theoretical example. I'm not going to say it's a real example, but it's a model. It's an archetype. Okay, that kind of thing. That kind of hedonism, or what the Spanish do on holy days, or carnival, or feria, that there's a structured hedonism there, which now apparently I'm just talking about, which is very valuable, and which I think is one of the reasons why the Calvinists have such a hard time. The Protestant, some Protestant faiths have such a hard time, because they really, really don't allow for human impulses and human behaviors. And there's this notion of a inhuman perfection and set of rules that just doesn't really work for people. On the other hand, the progressives are all hedonism all the time, no structure, no rules. Except, of course, that they're heavily authoritarian and there's a huge amount of structure and rules about what you can't do. In terms of, this is where it breaks down in sensibility. They've got all these structures and all these rules and all these hard no's about what you can think in their terms, but nothing about hedonism in their terms. It's a very odd thing, with a lot of charismatics. So there are charismatic churches that are fundamentally broken. There are fundamentalists who are fundamentally broken, who believe that it's the preacher who has the word of God, not you. And that's kind of a weird and very authoritarian road. And it reminds me very much of the left as far as that goes. Anything that we say is moral. Hedonism, go do it. Full tilt. But you can't think the wrong thought, or we're going to end you. I don't know. The whole thing is it's very twisty, and that's one of the things that's really difficult about progressivism in general is it's very twisty, and it's very much a set of we allow hedonism in this space that we've defined as okay because it breaks down society, because it damages social structures, because it damages the way things work, because we don't like the way things work, because I don't know. It's really, again, twisty. But when you deal with the moral authoritarians and the conservative space, you're dealing again with people who quite often they want order as a survival mechanism, as a peace mechanism. There's a peace in knowing how things are going to work, how things are going to function. That the red light means people are going to stop and let you go on your green light. There's a peace and a security to that, and that's fundamental order. But you can't take it too far, or it becomes very stagnant, and that's where the shamanic impulse starts to come in again. Now, I talk about this. I've got a couple of notes here, and one of the things that I think is so twisty about progressivism and the left is that I do think there is some elements of actual, real evil involved. And that one we're going to do in the next video. Stay sideways.